The laptop screen flickered in my cluttered home office as I tried to resurrect another dying hard drive. 23 years of marriage, and I'd become the family IT guy by default, fixing everything while Elena lived her Instagram-perfect life. The irony wasn't lost on me that I spent my days debugging other people's problems while my own marriage crashed in the background. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Friends are forever, but husbands come and go. Elena's voice drifted from the kitchen, sharp and dismissive. I froze, screwdriver halfway to the laptop's back panel. She was talking to someone on the phone, probably Margot, her real estate partner and constant shadow. The casual cruelty in her tone hit me like a sucker punch to the gut. Well, that makes me the takeout container, I thought bitterly. Use once, toss when you're done. Elena had been different lately, distant, always checking her phone, scheduling endless girls' nights and wine tours. Our conversations had devolved into logistics about the kids and household maintenance. When was the last time she'd looked at me like I mattered? David's just so predictable, she continued, unaware I could hear every word. He fixes things, pays bills, shows up. But there's no spark anymore, no excitement. Predictable. The word stung because it was true. I'd become the reliable background character in my own life story. While Elena posed for selfies at trendy wine bars, I ate leftover pizza and helped our daughters Sophie and Mia with homework. While she networked at real estate events, I maintained our modest home and steady IT job. But predictable didn't mean stupid. That evening, I suggested we plan a date night. Elena barely looked up from her phone. Can't this weekend. I'm doing Napa with the girls. Margot found this amazing vineyard tour. What about next weekend? Tennis tournament at the club. She finally glanced at me, and I saw something I'd never noticed before. Genuine irritation that I was interrupting her scrolling. Maybe we can grab dinner sometime next week. Maybe. Like I was a client she might squeeze into her busy schedule. You're right, I said quietly. Friends are forever. She didn't catch the edge in my voice. The next day, my buddy Jake invited me to watch the game at Murphy's bar. Normally, I'd decline. Elena preferred I stay home with the kids when she was out, but something had shifted inside me. Sure, I told Jake. I'll be there. For the first time in months, I felt a spark of something that wasn't resignation. Mrs. Kellerman, our 70-something neighbor with a PhD in local gossip, cornered me while I was checking the mail. David, honey, I don't want to cause trouble, but... She glanced around conspiratorially. I saw Elena's car at the Sunset Motel yesterday afternoon. That's not exactly wine country, if you know what I mean. The Sunset Motel was a dive on the wrong side of town, the kind of place that rented rooms by the hour. My stomach dropped, but I kept my expression neutral. Thanks, Mrs. Kellerman. I'm sure there's an explanation. But there wasn't. Not one that made sense. That night, while Elena showered, I found the receipt in her purse. Room 247, Sunset Motel, Tuesday, 2 p.m. The same day she'd claimed to be showing houses to out-of-town clients. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. The preview showed a text from Trev. Can't wait to see you again. You're incredible. My hands shook as I scrolled through their conversation. Months of messages, explicit photos, plans to meet. Her responses were passionate, alive in a way she hadn't been with me in years. This is what excitement looks like, I realized. This is what I'm not. Elena emerged from the bathroom in her robe, humming. She looked radiant, glowing with the kind of satisfaction I used to give her. Good day? I asked casually. Exhausting. Clients can be so demanding. She kissed my forehead absently. I'm beat. Night, honey. She curled up on her side of the bed, phone clutched in her hand like a lifeline. Within minutes, she was asleep, probably dreaming of Trevor. I stared at the ceiling until dawn, my mind racing. Elena wanted excitement, unpredictability. She was about to get more than she bargained for. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in years. I said yes. Jake called about joining a boxing class at Frank's gym. Instead of my usual excuse about family obligations, I said, "Sign me up." My coworker Beth invited me to her birthday party. I'll be there. The neighborhood volleyball league needed players. Count me in. Elena barely noticed at first. She was too busy texting Trevor and planning their next rendezvous. But as my calendar filled with activities, her smugness began to crack. "You're going out again?" she asked Thursday evening as I grabbed my gym bag. "Boxing class with Jake. Told you about it." I kissed her cheek, noting how she flinched. "Don't wait up." Frank's gym was a throwback to the old school. Heavy bags, speed bags, and the smell of honest sweat. Frank himself was a grizzled former Marine who'd trained half the cops in town. "You look like a man with something to prove," he said, wrapping my hands for the first time. "Something like that. Good. Anger makes you strong, but control makes you dangerous. Remember that." I threw punches until my shoulders screamed, imagining Trevor's smug face with each impact. The physical release was intoxicating, but the mental clarity was even better. For the first time in months, I felt like myself again. Elena was waiting when I got home, sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open. "How was your boxing thing?" "Incredible. Frank thinks I have natural talent." I grabbed a beer from the fridge, noting how her eyes followed my movements. "I'm thinking about entering some amateur competitions." "Competitions? David, that seems a bit intense." "You said I was predictable. I'm working on that." She didn't have a response. Over the next few weeks, my transformation accelerated. Boxing 3 times a week sculpted muscles I'd forgotten I had. Volleyball games introduced me to new friends who actually seemed to enjoy my company. I started posting pictures on social media, something I'd never bothered with before. The photos told a story: David at the gym, sweating and grinning, David spiking a volleyball, David laughing with friends at Murphy's bar, David looking confident, engaged, alive. Elena's friends began commenting, "Where has this David been hiding? And you two look so happy." Except Elena wasn't in any of the pictures. "People are asking why I'm never with you anymore," she said one evening, her voice tight with irritation. "You're always busy with wine tours and tennis." I shrugged. I got tired of waiting. I could cancel tomorrow night's dinner with Margot. We could do something together. "Can't. Poker night with the guys from volleyball." "Saturday?" "Boxing tournament in Springfield. I'm cornering Jake for his first fight." Her face flushed. "So when exactly am I supposed to see my husband?" "I don't know, Elena." "When are you supposed to want to?" The question hung between us like a challenge. She opened her mouth, then closed it, unable to answer. That weekend, I ran into Trevor at the gym. He was everything I'd expected. 6'2", spray-tanned, with the kind of artificial confidence that came from expensive cologne and a lease on a Mustang he couldn't afford. He was struggling with the bench press when I approached. "Need a spot?" "Yeah, thanks." He didn't recognize me, which was perfect. I helped him through his set, then casually introduced myself. "David Martinez. You look familiar. Do I know you from somewhere?" "Trevor Walsh. I run Walsh Used Cars on 5th Street. His chest puffed with pride. "Maybe you've seen our commercials?" "Ah, right. The ones where you promise to make deals that steal hearts." I let the irony hang in the air. "Interesting slogan." "It works. I'm very good at giving people what they want." "I bet you are." I leaned closer, my voice dropping to a whisper. "Here's some free advice, Trevor. Stay out of my life, or your car won't be the only thing that gets dented." His face went pale. "What's that supposed to mean?" "I think you know exactly what it means." I walked away without another word, leaving him to wonder how much I knew and what I planned to do about it. That night, I took a walk through his neighborhood. Trevor's prized red Mustang sat in the driveway like a monument to his ego. I admired it for a moment, then pulled out my phone and took a picture. Such a beautiful car, I thought. Shame if something happened to it. Elena tried to seduce me the following Tuesday. She emerged from the bathroom wearing lingerie I hadn't seen in years, her hair perfectly styled, makeup flawless. "The girls are at Mom's tonight," she purred, moving toward me with practiced sensuality. I looked up from my book, a biography of Muhammad Ali that Frank had recommended. "That's nice." David. She sat on the bed's edge, close enough that I could smell her perfume. The same scent that probably drove Trevor wild. "I've been thinking about us, about making more time for each other." "Have you now?" Her hand traced my chest. "I miss this. I miss us." I caught her wrist, gently but firmly. "Elena, I'm not really into sharing anymore." Her face crumpled. "What's that supposed to mean?" "I think you know exactly what it means." She jerked away as if I'd slapped her. "You're being ridiculous." "Am I?" "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been getting plenty of excitement elsewhere." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Room 247, Sunset Motel. Ring any bells?" The color drained from her face. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered months of lies, dismissive comments, and casual cruelty. "David, I can explain." "I'm sure you can, but I'm not interested in explanations anymore." I returned to my book. "You should probably call Margot. Tell her you need somewhere to stay tonight." "This is my house, too." "Then sleep in the guest room, but don't expect me to pretend everything's fine while you're screwing around with some used car salesman." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. 20 minutes later, I heard her car start and watched from the window as she drove away, probably straight to Trevor's apartment. Good. That would make what came next even easier. I waited until 2 a.m., then took another walk through Trevor's neighborhood. His Mustang gleamed under the streetlight, perfect and untouched. I pulled on latex gloves and got to work. Sugar in the gas tank was a myth, but sand in the oil reservoir would destroy the engine within miles. I loosened the valve stems on all 4 tires, not enough to cause an immediate blowout, but enough to leave him stranded by morning. Finally, I used my house key to carve a message into his driver's side door. "Cheaters never win." The whole operation took less than 10 minutes. I was home and in bed before Elena returned, tear-streaked and defeated. She didn't speak to me for 3 days. On Friday, Frank pulled me aside after training. "You've got something eating at you," he observed. "Want to talk about it?" I told him everything. Elena's affair, the lies, the casual dismissal of our marriage. Frank listened without judgment, occasionally nodding. "My ex-wife pulled the same shit," he said finally. "Thought the grass was greener, you know. Took me years to realize she did me a favor." "How do you figure?" "She showed me who she really was. Question is, what are you going to do about it?" "I'm working on that." Frank studied my face. "Remember what I told you about anger and control. Don't just hit back. Make 'em bleed where they can't see." That weekend, Elena's boss Marcus hosted a charity gala at the country club. Elena had been looking forward to it for weeks, a chance to network with potential high-end clients. She'd bought a new dress, booked hair and makeup appointments, planned every detail. "You're coming, right?" she asked nervously. "As my date?" Wouldn't miss it. The gala was everything I'd expected. Overpriced drinks, forced conversations, and people trying too hard to impress each other. Elena worked the room like a professional, all smiles and charm, playing the role of successful real estate agent and devoted wife. I played my part too, staying close enough to maintain appearances while quietly observing the social dynamics. Real estate was a small world in our town, and everyone knew everyone else's business, or thought they did. Marcus cornered me at the bar during Elena's bathroom break. "Your wife's been doing great lately," he said. "Top seller 3 months running. She's very dedicated to her work. That's what I like to hear. Some of the other agents have been less reliable, missing appointments, distracted during showings, but Elena's always focused. She certainly spends a lot of time at the office. Well, the hours can be demanding, especially with some of our more particular clients." He lowered his voice conspiratorially. "Between you and me, I've had to have some difficult conversations lately about professionalism and boundaries." I filed that information away for later use. Elena returned, radiant and slightly tipsy from champagne. "Having fun, boys?" "Just telling your husband how impressed I am with your work ethic," Marcus said. "I do try to satisfy my clients' needs," she replied, and I caught the double meaning in her tone. Later, during the auction portion of the evening, I excused myself for some fresh air. The parking lot was mostly empty except for a few smokers and valets. I was admiring the view when Trevor appeared, looking uncomfortable in an ill-fitting tuxedo. "Fancy meeting you here?" I said casually. "Yeah, well, my date insisted we come." He glanced around nervously. "Look, about the other day at the gym. Having car troubles lately?" His face darkened. "You son of a jerk. That was you." "I have no idea what you're talking about. But hypothetically, if someone were messing with your property, maybe it's because you've been messing with theirs." "Elena's not your property." "You're right. She's my wife." "There's a difference, though. I can see how someone like you might not understand that." Trevor stepped closer, trying to intimidate me with his size. "You better back off, old man." "Or what? You'll key my car? Slash my tires?" I smiled coldly. "Been there, done that. But if you want to escalate things, I'm happy to oblige." Before he could respond, I landed a quick jab to his solar plexus, not hard enough to cause real damage, but enough to double him over and leave him gasping. "Maybe you should stick to cars, Trev. You're out of your league here." I walked back inside, leaving him wheezing in the parking lot. Elena was waiting by our table, looking anxious. "Where were you?" "Getting some air. Ready to go?" "Actually, I was hoping to stay a bit longer. Network some more." "Of course you were. I'll catch a ride with Jake." Her face fell. "David, please don't make a scene." "I'm not making anything. I'm just tired of pretending." I kissed her forehead and walked away, feeling her eyes on my back. Let her explain my absence to her friends and colleagues. Let her wonder what I knew and what I planned to do about it. The real fun was just beginning. Monday morning brought the first crack in Elena's perfect facade. Marcus called her into his office for what she described as a routine check-in, but she came home pale and shaken. "Everything okay?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Fine. Just some paperwork issues with the Henderson account." The Henderson account was Elena's biggest sale of the year, a luxury home that had netted her a substantial commission. It was also the property she'd been showing to Trevor multiple times a week. "Paperwork issues? Nothing I can't handle." But her voice lacked conviction. That evening, Margot called in a panic. I answered Elena's phone while she was in the shower. "Elena, thank God. Marcus is asking questions about your recent sales. He wants to review all your client interactions from the past 6 months. This is David." Silence. Then, "Oh. Hi, David. Is Elena available?" "She's busy. Can I take a message?" "Just tell her to call me. It's important." I hung up without promising anything. Elena emerged from the bathroom to find me holding her phone. "Margot called. Something about Marcus reviewing your client interactions." Her face went white. "You answered my phone?" "It was ringing. I thought it might be an emergency." I handed it back to her. She sounded worried. Elena snatched the phone and immediately called Margot back, speaking in hushed tones while pacing the bedroom. I caught fragments. "Can't prove anything," and "just a coincidence," and need to be more careful, as if discretion was their biggest problem. The next few days brought a cascade of small disasters. Trevor's insurance company rejected his claim for the car damage, citing suspicious circumstances. Elena missed 2 important client meetings due to scheduling conflicts, also known as afternoon rendezvous at the Sunset Motel. Her social media posts became increasingly forced, trying to project an image of happiness while her world crumbled behind the scenes. I, meanwhile, continued my transformation. The boxing gym had become my sanctuary, and Frank had become my unofficial therapist. "You're getting stronger," he observed after a particularly intense session. "But you're also getting meaner. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but make sure you stay in control." "I'm in complete control." "Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're enjoying this a little too much." He wasn't wrong. There was something intoxicating about watching Elena's carefully constructed life fall apart, knowing I was the architect of her destruction. But Frank was right about staying in control. Revenge was a dish best served cold, and I was just getting started. That weekend, Elena tried a different approach. She suggested we take the girls to their favorite restaurant, a family outing to reconnect. Sophie, our 14-year-old, saw through the charade immediately. "Why are you guys being so weird? You barely talk anymore except to argue about schedules." "We're not arguing," Elena said quickly. "We're just busy." "Dad's busy," Sophie corrected. "You're just gone all the time." 10-year-old Mia looked between us with worried eyes. "Are you getting divorced?" "Of course not, sweetheart," Elena said, reaching for my hand across the table. I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back either. "Your mom and I are working through some things." "What kind of things?" Sophie pressed. "Adult things," Elena said firmly. "Nothing for you to worry about." But Sophie was too smart to buy that line. She'd inherited my analytical mind and Elena's stubborn streak, a dangerous combination. After dinner, she cornered me in the garage. "Mom's cheating on you, isn't she?" The directness of the question caught me off guard. "What makes you think that?" "She's always on her phone, always going out, and she gets this guilty look whenever you ask where she's been. Plus, Mrs. Kellerman told me she saw Mom's car at some gross motel." "Mrs. Kellerman needs to mind her own business." "So it's true?" I sighed, suddenly feeling every one of my 43 years. "It's complicated, Soph." "No, it's not. Either she's cheating or she isn't." "Yes, she is." Sophie nodded grimly. "What are you going to do about it?" "I'm working on that." "Good. She doesn't deserve you." The loyalty in her voice broke something inside me. Elena wasn't just betraying me, she was betraying our daughters, destroying the family they'd counted on for stability. That night, I made a decision. It was time to escalate. I'd been monitoring Elena's email account for weeks, courtesy of the shared laptop she used for work. Her correspondence with Trevor had become increasingly reckless, filled with explicit details about their encounters and complaints about her boring home life. But it was her emails with Margot that proved most interesting. They weren't just friends and business partners. Margot was actively encouraging Elena's affair, pushing her to leave me, offering her a place to stay when she was ready to make the break. There was something else, too. A possessiveness in Margot's messages that went beyond friendship. References to their special connection and how Elena deserved better than suburban mediocrity. Margot wasn't just Elena's enabler, she was in love with her. The realization hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't just about Elena's midlife crisis or Trevor's sleazy charm. This was about Margot systematically dismantling my marriage to clear the way for herself. Well, two could play that game. I filed for divorce on a Wednesday, delivering the papers to Elena's office during her busiest showing of the week. The process server was a consummate professional, waiting until Elena was surrounded by potential clients before approaching with his clipboard and official documents. "Elena Martinez, you've been served." The color drained from her face as she read the petition. Around her, well-dressed couples whispered and pointed. Her carefully maintained professional image cracked like an eggshell. "This is a mistake," she told the server, but he was already walking away. She called me immediately, her voice shaking with rage and humiliation. "How could you do this to me? At work, in front of clients? You mean the same way you've been humiliating me for months? In public, behind my back, in every sleazy motel room you could find? David, please, we can work this out." "No, Elena, we really can't." I hung up and turned off my phone, let her stew in the consequences of her choices. That evening, I paid a visit to Margot's luxury condo, the one she'd bought with commissions from properties Elena had helped her secure. The doorman recognized me from Elena's social media posts and waved me through without question. Margot answered the door in silk pajamas, a glass of wine in her hand. Her face fell when she saw me. "David, what are you doing here? We need to talk. Elena's not here." "I know. I came to see you." She reluctantly let me inside. The condo was everything Elena aspired to: modern, expensive, Instagram perfect. Photo collages covered one wall, mostly pictures of Margot and Elena at various events, looking more like a couple than friends. "Nice place," I said, studying the photos. "You two spend a lot of time together. We're business partners." "Is that what you call it?" I turned to face her. "I know what you've been doing, Margot. The affair with Trevor was just the opening move. You've been playing a longer game." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do. You set Elena up with Trevor to destroy her marriage. You encouraged her to cheat, gave her alibis, provided emotional support when she felt guilty. All so you could swoop in and play savior when her life fell apart." Margot's composure cracked. "Elena deserves better than you. Maybe, but she doesn't deserve what you've done to her. I love her. You manipulated her. There's a difference." Before Margot could respond, the door opened and Elena walked in, looking haggard and defeated. She stopped short when she saw us together. "David? What are you doing here?" "Having an enlightening conversation with your friend." "He knows," Margot said quietly. "Knows what?" "Everything. About Trevor, about us, about the plan." Elena looked between us, confusion clouding her features. "What plan?" I pulled out my phone and played the audio recording I'd made of Margot's confession. Her voice filled the room. "Elena deserves better than you. I love her. The affair with Trevor was just the opening move." Elena's face went white. "Margot, what is this?" "I can explain. You set me up? You encouraged me to cheat on my husband so you could— What? Have me for yourself? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like?" Elena's voice rose to a shout. "Because it sounds like you destroyed my marriage for your own sick fantasy. I was trying to save you from a life of mediocrity. That was my life to live, my choice to make." I watched their friendship implode with grim satisfaction. Elena had betrayed me, but Margot had betrayed them both. "I should go," I said quietly. "No." Elena grabbed my arm. "Please. We need to talk. I think we've said everything we need to say." "David, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I screwed up, but I had no idea Margot was manipulating me." "Does it matter? You still made the choice to cheat? You still chose to lie to me, to our daughters, to yourself?" "I know. But maybe we can fix this. Maybe we can go to counseling, work through it." "Elena." I gently removed her hand from my arm. "Some things can't be fixed." I left them there, two broken women in a perfect apartment, surrounded by the ruins of their friendship and my marriage. The final act came 3 days later at the annual Chamber of Commerce dinner. Elena had begged me not to attend, but I'd already bought my ticket and prepared my remarks. I took the stage during the open microphone portion of the evening, looking out at a sea of familiar faces. Colleagues, neighbors, friends, and enemies. "Good evening. For those who don't know me, I'm David Martinez. I've lived in this town for 23 years, raised 2 daughters here, built a life here. Tonight, I want to talk to you about truth. The room grew quiet, sensing drama. We live in an age of social media facades and careful image management. We present our best selves to the world while hiding our flaws and failures. But sometimes, the truth demands to be heard. I spotted Elena in the crowd, her face pale with dread. Trevor sat 3 tables away, looking like he wanted to bolt for the exit. Margot was notably absent. My wife has been having an affair with Trevor Walsh, the used car dealer. For months, she's been lying to me, to our children, to all of you. She's been conducting this affair during work hours, using real estate showings as cover for her rendezvous. Gasps rippled through the audience. Phones appeared as people began recording. But that's not the real story. The real story is about Margot Chen, Elena's business partner, who orchestrated this affair as part of a calculated plan to destroy my marriage. You see, Margot is in love with my wife and saw Trevor as a convenient tool to break us up. Elena stood up, tears streaming down her face. David, please stop. I'm sorry, Elena, but the truth doesn't care about your comfort level. I pulled out a folder filled with printed emails, text messages, and financial records. These documents show the extent of their deception. The fake client meetings, the embezzled commissions, the web of lies they've woven to hide their activities. I scattered the papers across the podium like confetti. Trevor Walsh preys on married women, promising them excitement while delivering nothing but heartbreak. Margot Chen manipulates vulnerable people for her own twisted purposes. And my wife chose to believe their lies rather than fight for her family. The room was silent except for the clicking of camera phones. I'm not looking for sympathy or support. I'm simply setting the record straight before I leave this town and start over somewhere else. Our daughters deserve to know the truth about why their family fell apart. You deserve to know who you're really doing business with. I stepped down from the podium and walked toward the exit, ignoring Elena's sobs and the buzz of shocked conversations. In the parking lot, Trevor tried to intercept me. You son of a jerk! You've ruined everything! No, Trevor, you did that all by yourself. He swung at me, but months of boxing training had sharpened my reflexes. I ducked his wild punch and landed a clean uppercut that dropped him to the asphalt. Stay down, I advised, stepping over his groaning form. Elena caught up with me at my car. David, wait, please. There's nothing left to say, Elena. What about the girls? What about our family? You should have thought about that before you decided to blow it all up for a cheap thrill. I love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of me, the steady provider, the reliable husband, the safety net, but you don't love me enough to be faithful, honest, or loyal. I got in my car and drove away, leaving her standing alone in the parking lot, surrounded by the wreckage of her choices. 6 months later, I was living in Denver, working for a tech startup, and dating a woman who actually seemed to enjoy my company. Sophie had chosen to come with me, while Mia stayed with Elena, an arrangement that broke my heart, but respected their individual needs. Elena's real estate career never recovered from the scandal. Trevor left town after his business failed, and Margot moved to Portland, alone and bitter. I never felt guilty about destroying their lives. They'd made their choices, and I'd simply ensured those choices had consequences. Sometimes, the good guy doesn't turn the other cheek. Sometimes, he hits back harder than anyone expects. And sometimes, that's exactly what justice looks like.